Hey guys, welcome back to the MiniFez channel. So recently we played an Ironman. I played as part of Team Red Lotus. Played a 3v3 Ironman against the collective. 60 from each side, so 120 total. So I thought I'd go over the Ironman and the matches and show you guys some content because I've not uploaded for a while. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So starting with RPS, paper, rock, scissors, RPS goat, that's me. Yeah, so we take first. Our opening hand is Engraver, Nib, Imperm, Fua, and Paradise. They have Ash, Engraver, Ext, Sword, and Ice. So we go to the main phase and we only have one line here, which is Engraver and then Tract. And the Tract is met with the Ash Blossom, so that'll just end our turn because we want to keep Fu alive. And we pass and they draw into their Paradise. They start with their Ice. We obviously chain off Fua here. And it resolves, so we get a draw off of the Sword Summon, and then the Sword triggers to search. We draw into Droll, which will be great for the turn afterwards. They pitch the Fiendspith and Paradise to special the Ice from their hand, and then they just swing because they don't want to give us too many draws under Fua loss. They activate Engraver here just to put it engrave and to turn on the Paradise, and then just overlay 3 for Detto because they don't want to give us a bajillion draws. And that will let us draw into Tract, which is a starter card, so that's good for our turn. And then they attach from to Detonator, and then pass turn. We draw into Talents, which is a great draw. We go standby main, and then we imperm the Detto, and then we follow up with the Tract. So we have either the option to add Lurry or Lacrima. We opt for Lacrima because Lacrima lets us pitch the Paradise and lets us do some rank 6 plays by specialing a second Engraver off of the Requiem. So like we don't need to waste our Necro Equip, which could come up later. So for like this would be better. Like maybe it should have been Lacrima because we could have drawn into an Ice off of Talents, but the main plan doesn't really change. So we just turn Lacrima into the Requiem, and then we use Engraver to summon itself back, and then we chain Requiem, and then they chain Detonator to put the Light Fiend Engrave for Paradise, and then we summon Engraver from Requiem, and then Engraver from Grave. So now they're thinking, is there a point to Paradise? Because they're not going to make Chaos Angel. So they allow it to resolve, so we just go equip Requiem, Engraver effect to send Detto, attack for some damage. So then we just want to force the Paradise Engrave to turn on the Talents. So we just go for a Sequence here, because Sequence is a Light Fiend, and if they don't stop this we just get Desiree for free. So yep, they Paradise, send Desiree, Desiree send Sequence, and that turns on our Talents. So we go Talents to draw 2. We draw Droll and Bonfire, and Bonfire is 4 combos, so we just go Bonfire, search Ext, special Ext. We send Detto here. This was a mistake, because you normally send Detto to play around Nib, but we've already committed into Nib at this point, so we should have probably just sent Twins instead. There was no reason to send Detto here. but like shouldn't make much of a difference realistically, because we have Droll, Nib, Paradise, and we're about to resolve full Riser combo. So we search for sword, special sword, and sword will get us ice for follow-up. And then we overlay both for duo. We'll use duo to reattach the Detto, and then detach 2 for the cross and the node. And we activate the cross and special the node, and then we use node pitching Droll to summon back. So this brings back sword, and then we can make our Detto and attach from grave. And yep, that will end our turn. They draw into node, so they have all three risers that aren't ice and tracked. So they lead with tracked. They add and pitch Lurry and use Lurry effect, and we chain the Droll. So this will stop them getting more engine. They special the Lacrima. We aren't really threatened by this because we can just cross negate the Requiem. So there's no reason to use Paradise here, because they can't follow up with Engraver because of Droll. So like there's nothing to be afraid of in this situation. So they just make Requiem, use Requiem, and then we just use Cross here to stop them getting into the Fiendsmith engine. So now they just have to play with Riser cards. So yep, they special node because they've got the detonator engrave. So we allow this, and then they special sword. So so we say no effect, but they said draw. I completely blanked on draw because I'm an idiot. But yeah, we go Paradise effect here so that it forces the last extender in hand if they have one. So we just go send Desiree, send the node, and we put back an engraver. Then they go send twins to special X'd. What we could have done was we could have nibbed here, but there's not really a point because there's not much that we need to be afraid of. Like we chain a detonator here just to get an extra material off their detonator, and then they go battle, and nope, they disconnected for a bit. They go battle and hit over our duo. And then they leave main 2, and in end phase we use Lacrima to bring back the Requiem, and they chain the detonator to pop cross, and we just allow this because the only XYZ engraved now is detonator, so they need this detonator to die to resolve the twins, so we can just play without caring basically. And we don't care about one singular pop. So we just use engraver here, and then we chain Requiem, summon out the engraver from deck, and then summon out engraver from grave. Then we overlay for Caesar because this just negates the twins, and he can't pop it because of detonator because it's an XYZ. And then we normal ice, and then they scoop. Then we side, and we go into the next game, which they opt to go first. Shock. So here we draw double Perulia, Veiler, Rizal, Sword, and Engraver. Like we could shotgun double Perulia here, which will make him pass his turn. But we thought that if we start with one Perulia, we'll get at least one draw, and once he's committed more into the Rizal part of the combo, we can hit him with extra the second Perulia. so that he can't get to the Rizal cards unless they want to give us 1,000,000 cards. And we have Veiler to stop like anything threatening. So we Purulia in draw phase. They lead Bonfire, and they normal Ice, which gives us a draw into our own Bonfire. So we have, on our turn, we have 2 pushers and an extender. We Veiler the Ice, which forces them to commit an extender of either Fiendsmith or Rizal. So it forces the X Rizal, which gives us another draw. And off of the X, they search Sword, and we draw Druis off Purulia. And then here, we use the second Purulia before the XYZ. So it means that they're forced to make the detonator here, because our hand can easily beat a detonator because we've got Druis, Engraver, Bonfire, Sword. So they just make the detonator, attach the twins, but we have Druis, so we just get rid of the twins. And then they pass turn. So we start our turn with Bonfire, search for Ice. It's normal Ice and use the effect. They chain Detto and then chain Veiler so that the Ice doesn't resolve. And we say okay, and then we activate Engraver, get tracked, activate tracked, pitch Lurie to bring itself back. Then we can go for Requiem effect into Lacrima. Then Lacrima and Druis makes Chaos Angel. Then we just Chaos Angel banish. They chain to pop themselves. And then we can use Engraver to bring itself back. We use Requiem to equip to Engraver to give it a boost for now. And then we special Sword, use the effect, which allows us to grab Ice. Then we go special Ice by sending Requiem, and that's lethal. So we just go battle. And they have no way to stop this. So yep, we take the first game. Okay, so now we move on to game 2. They send out the next player. So we do RPS again. And as always, I am the RPS goat. So I choose to go first again. We open Bonfire, double Fua, Nib, Imperm. They open 2 Bestials, Fua, Nib, Bonfire. So we're thinking here like we could go for the Bonfire as our one line of combo, but if it gets interrupted at all, we just pass and turn off both our Fuas. Whereas if we just Fua them twice, they're passing anyway. And we get some draws out of it, and then we can combo next turn. So yeah, we start Bonfire in case we draw Bonfire. We can use it again later just to search for Ice, and then we pass, which obviously gives the obvious Fua read, but if they just pass, it's fine. So they start their turn off by specialing X'd, which makes sense because they read the Fua. We allow this. And a special Sword, and then use Sword to get Ice. Then we use Fua, allow it to resolve, so we use the second Fua on res. They swing for 2k, and then they just pass, and we draw tracked. So we start our turn, normal Ice, use the effect, special X'd effect, get Sword, and then we can go for our Moonline. They were thinking here whether to Baldrake to be our extra deck play, which wouldn't have been bad, but they opted not to do it and rather wait for the Fiendsmith cards. But we had the feeling that they'd have like Bestials in hand, and we had tracked for Fiendsmith anyway, so we just went straight into Duo Drive, an early Duo Drive here. And then we used a Duo Drive to search for 2 Rysals, so we get our Cross and we get our Node. So now we commit to our Fiendsmith plays, we send Lurie, and that brings down their board rate. So we're like, alright, that's cool. So we special the sword here, so now we just commit to our Rysal plays. But this nib is going to come down soon because we are approaching 5 summons very quickly. We send Twins to special X, and then we use X to... Oh, yeah, we've already triggered X, so we can't use that. But we activate the Cross here, and this is where they use their nib, obviously. Otherwise, we would just negate the nib. It's a 9k token with 84 defense. And then we used a Cross to get a draw. We get draw. We still have a play because we have Node, so we just bring down the Node. We use Node, but it's a tough decision because, like, which hand trap do you get rid of? You've got draw, nib, and imperm. Like, they're all bangers. So yeah, the chat is basically thinking on which hand trap to discard. We finally decide to get rid of draw, because we feel that nib imperm should just be any push they have. So yeah, we just bring out the sword, then we overlay for Detto, and then we use Detto to get the twins attached. Then we attack into the nib and attach one to protect, and then we set the imperm, and then we pass it over there. So we've got Detto, twins, cross, nib, imperm, which is pretty strong. They use Druis in the end phase, and we just allow it. There's no point using the cross here because it means that they can just special it on their turn anyway. And like if they crash the Druis to kill Detto, we can just use twins. They start with ice and don't use the effect, so it's obvious they're going for a Chaos Angel play here, but we've got Imperm Detonator which obliterates that play. So we just allow this to stick. They go for the Chaos Angel. They go 1 Chaos Angel target cross, 2 Druis target Detto. So we go 3 Detto target Chaos Angel, and then 4 Imperm on Chaos Angel. So then we trigger the twins, bring back the detonator, and attach it with the Duo Drive, and then we trigger the detonator to reattach the twins. And then they activate Engraver. They don't have a Light Fiend Engrave, so we're thinking whether to cross, and we do end up using cross because like if that only pushes now or Rysal plays and Nib beats the Rysal plays, and we still have 1 pop off of the detonator. They go Bonfire, add X'd, and they've already used it normal, which was the ice. And they go X'd, send Abyss Dweller, and they use the X'd effect, so we just used the Detto to pop the X'd, because they can search for sword, and then sword can search for ice, but then they have to pitch a card in hand, or they can search for node, which results them in pitching a card in hand anyway. And we have a nib, so it doesn't really matter what they do. So yep, they grab the sword, they use the sword, they use it to grab the ice, then they special the ice by pitching the Fua in hand, then we think here, and then we obviously drop the nib, give them the token, and then they pass turn. And we start our turn, we use cross to draw a card, and we draw Fua. Now you may be thinking in this position, oh yeah, you just win from this position because you just normal hand trap, make Moon, and then go into full Fiendsmith combo. But for this Iron Man, we were testing Exciton Knight over Moon, and we were not playing Moon. So in this scenario, we can't play the game, and this token is very big. So we just changed Nib to defense and set Fua and pass. Because we cut Moon, they normal ice, we ash it, then they go battle, kill both our cards. Alright, it's fine, we have 2 more draws, surely we will see an engine card here. Draw Nib, okay, that's a miss, but the cross can still hit a engine card. We've got a million cards in our deck that does combo. Put back 2 cards, and we draw Droll. That's fine, we can just set Droll, and maybe they attack it in the wrong order, we can survive? Nope, we're dead. Because we didn't play Moon. So yes, Moon is very important in the deck, do not cut Moon. So yeah, if we go to game 2, we should have won that game, but it is what it is. So we start our turn, we have Fua, which we kept for cross out as a one-off, but we drew it like, okay. We have Ash, Node, Cross, and Ice. They have Node, Fua, Veiler, Ash, Sword. So we start our turn normally Ice, they chain Fua, we Ash, and then they don't Veiler, so we summon Ext, and then we trigger the Ext to search for the sword. Then we overlay for Exciton, make the Requiem, use Requiem to get Requiem gets ashed here, so we special sword. I was so confused there. Yeah. So we use sword to grab Ext, special Ext, pitching the twins. Then we bring down the cross and summon Duo Drive. And then we use Duo Drive effect to attach. They Veiler, which we allow it to resolve to play around Nib, because like we already have Node anyway, so we don't need to play into Nib. Obviously they don't have Nib, but we just allowed it to resolve because we don't want to lose to Nib in this position. Then we use Node, send Fua, bring back Ext, and then we just make a detonator and attach the twins from grave. And then we pass turn, because we do not have enough Risals for the cross to get the draw. They start their turn, they normal the Node, then they special sword, they use the effect, we use Deto to pop the Node, and then we use cross to negate the sword, and they pass their turn. They were rank 4 locks, so like yeah, this pretty much checks their entire hand. Then they pass back, we get Bonfire, so we use Bonfire and they scoop. Then we go into game 3, we're going second. We draw Imperm, Droll, Perulia, Ice. They draw Ice, Engraver, Bonfire, Nib, Ash. We use Perulia and Draw phase. they lead with Engraver, and now we're in the position of, do we keep Peruli alive or do we draw? Like, if we have to draw here to turn off the Fiendsmith cards, potential bonfires, and the Rise will follow up. Like, we don't really have an option here. So yeah, we draw here, so we did just go -1, but it is what it is. They summon the sword off ice, they make Moon, and they go for the Fiendsmith line here. We just allow all of this to resolve, because our current hand is just ice and it can't really push through Detonator. So we'd rather hold the Imperm. So they go for Necrocrypt into Caesar, and they pass. So we can just beat Caesar with the Imperm and pray they have no non-engine, because our hand loses to any non-engine. So Imperm Caesar, normal ice effect met with Ash. Like, well, I guess we just make Typhon and pray. So we summon Typhon, and they use Paradise here because they pitched it from hand. Pitched it off of the Lacrima, and yeah, we lose the game. Because in this position, they have Bonfire for follow-up, and Caesar on board, and we have Veiler draw. They go Tract, pitch, summon, and then we draw. But like at this point, it doesn't really make a difference. They go into Requiem, normal, make sequence, summon back Desiree. They try to use sequence, we Veiler, and then they realize there's no Engraver engrave, so they can't actually use sequence. So we just add back the Veiler. So they just make the Fiendsmith and Paradise here, Fiendsmith Agnum Day here, and this is actually lethal on board, so we're forced to use Veiler on the Agnum Day. And they chain Agnum Day, bring back Desiree, equip it with all of the dudes, and it's big enough to just kill us. Anyway, so yep, so it's now 1-1 to both teams, and we'll now move on to the third match. Okay, so now we move on to the third match, and now it's Travis's turn from our side against them. And yeah, we go into RPS, scissors, scissors, and then rock beat scissors, so we get to choose again. So we obviously go first. Opening hand is Cross, Double Draw, Fua, and Ext. Their opening hand is Bestial, Engraver, Tract, Lurry, and Imperm. This hand is very bad. It's 3 Fiendsmith cards, but like that happens a lot. We start our turn with Ext because that's our only play. And then we use Ext effect, and they allow it to resolve, which is a good sign of relief, because we don't really have any other play other than normal Fua and make Duo. And we special sword, use the effect to get ice. And then we activate Cross, which we hard drew, so we don't really need the Duo to resolve, but it's good to have it resolve. We activate Duo, they think to Imperm, but since we have the Cross anyway, there's no point Imperming this Duo. It's like, I was thinking whether to tell Travis in this position whether we keep the Cross in hand to bait an Imperm, or we just play around Nib. And like, playing around Nib is just safer, so we just decide to go for the Nib line, the anti-Nib line, and we search Node and Ice off the Duo, and then we go normal Ice, special Ext from deck. Then we make the Deto effect to attach from grave. Get to attach the other Deto, and then we special node, and then we use nodes to send the duo, and then we target the sword in our grave to play around the Bestial. Never target your light Arisals, guys. So we summon the sword and we make Dweller because we know they're on Fiendsmith Rysal, and this Dweller cooks their hand. So yeah, here we activate Cross to get the draw. We put back Ext and Duo because we don't have twins in rotation anyway, and then we draw an Imperm, which is great. So we just set the Imperm and pass. They start their turn. They activate Tract. We chain Dweller. So they think for a bit. They add Lacrima. They pitch the Lurry, and then we use Droll, which turns off their Engraver, turns off the sword searching anything. So the only play here is a Lacrima and Bestial into Chaos Angel. So they go Bestial effect, chain detonator, chain Imperm on detonator, and then we resolve, and then we cross negate the Baldrake. And then they normal the Lacrima to add to Sand Paradise, and then they go for Requiem and then turn Requiem into the Typhon, but we don't care because we have Imperm for Typhon, so all they can really do is attack once, which we can protect. So we Imperm Typhon, they attack Dweller, and we have to allow that to resolve because their day has been Impermed, of course, and they just pass. So we start our turn. We have Ice, Engraver, Cross is live with Detonator on board. Man, we know they have Baldrake in hand. So we start our turn with Ice Rysal, specialing Ext, triggering Ext, getting Sword. They're thinking a bit whether to use their Paradise here, or they opt to use their Baldrake. So we allowed it to hit the field. So now they can banish an extra deck play, basically. We use the Cross, targeting both our Rysals and Grave to get a draw, and we get Tracked. And then we overlay for Exiton here, basically to just go back into Requiem. So they think whether they want to use the Baldrake here. This is mainly just bait because we have the Tracked and Engraver anyway. We just wanted to bait this Baldrake. So they commit the Baldrake and they chain the Paradise. So we say, yep, allow both to resolve. Then they go send the Desiree, targeting our Deto. So we just cross negate. And then we activate Tract. Send Lurry, summon Lurry, get Requiem, Requiem effect for Lacrima, Lacrima effect, send Engraver, Requiem equip to the Lacrima, make Necro equip, use Engraver's hand effect, search for the second Tract, and then we get free draw, we get an Ext, then we summon out the Engraver from grave. They're like, do we need to be afraid of anything? I guess we play around extra Bestials or Nib by making the Caesar here. And now we can just do plays. We summon Sword, search Ice, special Ext, pitching Aggregator, overlay both the Rysals for a duo. Because we put it back with the Cross, we reattach, use the duo to search 2 cards, search Node and Sword, and then from this position we special the Node, we use the Node, pitching the dead Fua, bring back a Rysal, So we hard summon the Eclipse twins, and then we just go battle. And this is lethal on board. They try to use Lacrima, but we just cross negate. Oh, it wasn't a cross negate because we already used cross. It was Caesar. My bad. So next game, we activate Purlia and draw phase, and we don't really want to shotgun the second Purlia because we have full loss. So they go normal Lacrima, give us a draw, and they send the Engraver, and here's when we drop full loss, and they ash the full loss. So like, alright, it's fine. So they go for the Fiendsmith line, summon Engraver, Requiem equip, make Necro, summon back Engraver, and then we are forced to use our nib here, otherwise they just make Caesar. Give them a token and they pass their turn. So they have the Lacrima set up for Paradise and Imperm, and we just have Bonfire as our push. So we go Bonfire, search for Ice, and then we normal summon the Ice and use the effect. And they use Imperm here. Now, when I said we weren't playing Moon, I meant all of our decks weren't playing. Well, me and Travis's decks weren't playing Moon because we were using the same list. So we couldn't combo again. So yeah, do not cut Moon from your decks. So we just slap Typhon down on Nib and bounce the token and then attack for some damage. And then pass, and then they just Lacrima in end phase. Then we pass turn to them. They use the Requiem for Lacrima. Then you use Lacrima to send Engraver, and then they bring back Engraver. And they go for Requiem. They use Requiem to get out another Engraver. They special the sword, grabbing X. And this is where we draw to stop their advantage progressing too much. So they equip Requiem to Engraver and use it to send Ice. They make Sequence. Use Sequence to get out of the Desiree, and yep, they go into Agnum Day. Desiree to send our Typhon, and that is lethal because 18 plus 18 plus Agnum Day tag into Engraver. Desiree is game. So yep, we go into game 3 and we start. So we have drawn the Fulos from the crossout again. We see crossout and then X'd Node and Ice. They have Ash, Nib, Tracked, Metaltronus and Ice. So we go standby main, activate Ice. They think whether to Ash but they hesitate. So we summon our X and then use it to grab our sword. And then here we go for the Fiendsmith line, coming to Requiem, and then we use the Requiem, and then they use Ash here. So we think whether to hold cross out for Nib or allow this Ash to, or just negate the Ash. But like the Fiendsmith engine checks Nib anyway, and it sets up Paradise for their turn. So we decide to just hit this Ash here. So we cross out Ash, we get Lacrima, we use the Lacrima to send Engraver, and then we Requiem equip, summon Necro, and then Engraver comes back by putting back Exciton, and then they're forced to use their nib here. And now we just do Fiendsmith. Now we do the Rizal plays, because that's all we have left. So we summon Sword, use Sword to search Ice for the follow-up. Then we send Twins to grab the X stunted off field, and then we overlay for Duo, and we attach from Grave, and then we use Duo, detach 2, grab Cross, and then we search the Sword for over follow-up. Then we use Cross to put 2 back and draw a card. We draw Veiler, which is great. So we summon Node, pitch Fua, so that we can play around like Bestials, like have the extra body on board. So we make our Detto, and then Detto attaches Twins, and then we pass. And this also makes the detonator bigger than Nib, so they can't force a material out of it. So we pass, but obviously they have the Metaltronus, so that's going to deal with our detonator in a second. But they start with Lurie, and we think whether to hit the Lurie, but we just chain detonator here to pop the Nib. And this is where they chain their Metaltronus. Now we take time to think, to see if there's anything we can do to stop this, because Metaltronus is only the targeted monster can't respond, so we could chain Lacrima, but that doesn't really do much. But like, we've already played into talents, so we're just like, yeah, we might as well set up the Fiendsmith and Paradise from this position. So they obviously make a mistake, but they banish the detonator from their extra deck to get rid of Oz. So then we use Cross to negate the Lurie on resolution, and then we use Requiem to set up Fiendsmith and Paradise. Summon Lacrima, send Paradise, and then we pass over priority. So we have Paradise and Veiler to stop their plays, and they've used Tract and Lurie, so Engravers would be dead from this position, so it's just Rizal cards. So they normal Ice, so we just Veiler the Ice here, and like with these 2 bodies, all they can do is either summon a Rizal from hand or go into Moon or Typhon, I guess, but they go battle first because they know whatever they commit to is just going to get sent by Paradise. So they go for Moon, and we obviously just Paradise this. And Desiree puts back Requiem. We send their Moon, and they just scoop because we have Fiendsmith cards in Grave, and they know we have follow-up from the Rizal engine. So we win the 3rd match, so we are now 2-1 up, and now we move on to their last player. Okay, so now they're down to their last player, and we still have 2 players in Travis and Ben. But yeah, we play RPS, and we finally lost our first RPS. Oh, such a sad day. So they opt to go first. We draw Fua, Nib, Imperm, Sword, and Bonfire, which is a great hand. But they start with Shifter. And Shifter is a very, very good card. As it turns off all of Fiendsmith engine and basically makes it so half our Rizal extenders are dead. So they lead with the field spell banishing the cat. They summon the cat, and then they go cat effect. And now we're just thinking, do we even want to give them more cards from this position if they're banishing cat? So we just imperm the cat here, and then they go for the white rabbit, and we chain Fua. If they summon the trap that summons from deck, they can't chain it in response to Fua, and that they set the trap that searches and banishes. But like, yeah, I mean, they still need to commit to a link free, so that'll give us at least 2 draws. They go for Thrust to set Imperm, and then they link 2 into IP, which gives us a draw, and we draw a second Nib, which is useless, and then they summon back White Rabbit. And like, this setup lets them make a link free in our turn, so they only end up giving us 1 draw. And then we draw for turn, and it's a dead engraver. So our only pushes are Ice and Sword, because we can't use X because of Shifter. So we go for Bonfire, searching Ice, normal Ice, and that gets met with Impulse, which is kind of rough. So like, our only other play here is summoning Sword. Just summoning Sword. So we use Sword here to grab Ice for follow-up, because we can't special X anyway. And now they have an opportunity to do something, so they activate MTP, and then they chain IP to make a link free and make Red Ransom, search for Dormouse, banish our Ice, and get out their White Rabbit, and then they can trigger their White Rabbit and search for their Underground. They get their Reborn Trap, so we just pass, and we're like, maybe he might play into Nib. They just go straight for access code, banish Ransom, pop Sword, bring back Ransom, and that's just lethal after they summon this cat anyway. And so yeah, we just scoop. So we go to game 2, and our hand is Ice, Lurry, Ash, Nib, Cross Out. They have Fua, Thrust, Talent, Bestial, plus Allure. So we start our turn, we normal summon Ice, they chain Fua, and then we think whether to use Ash on Fua or cross out the Fua. But we're like, we should probably hold cross out in case they chain Imperm, so we just Ash the Fua, and then we summon X, and then X will allow us to search for Sword, and then we can just go for the Fiendsmith line here. So we make Exiton, we say if there's anything they wanted to do, because they put a thinking emoji up, but we just go into Requiem here, use Requiem, summon Lacrima effects, send Engraver, and we use Requiem on Lacrima. They chain Baldrake on the Requiem, so we have to allow this to resolve. We use Engraver here to summon itself back, and we make Chaos Angel to get rid of the Baldrake, as it's just a free body for them. We special Sword, use Sword, we grab X'd, special X'd, sending Twins, make Duo, effect to attach 2 to search, we get Cross and Node, we activate Cross, special Node, pitch Lurry, bring back Sword, make Detto, and Detto reattach the Twins, and then we get a draw. So we get Talents. So we just look at the hand, we rip Allure, as that's the only play. we just need to not play into Talents. And we play Cross Out for Talents anyway, so Thrust is currently the only usable card. And we have Nib, Detto, pop 3 plus Twins plus Cross. I mean, this is just a guaranteed win at this point. So they go to main phase. They use Druis. So I just cross negate because we know their hand, and they just pass. Yeah, I mean, they just scoop. So yep, we do some siding. And they go first. We open Veiler, Lancia, Nib, Ice, Ice. They open Druis, White Rabbit, Underground, Allure, White. I said white, yep. So we use Lancia and draw phase. They summon white, we Veiler white. They make Link Decoder and they pass. So we summon Ice, special X'd, use X to grab sword, and then we go for Exciton. Exciton effect, make Requiem, Requiem effect, summon Lacrima, and then Lacrima pitches Engraver, Requiem equip, make the Necro, and then Engraver summons back, but they chain Druis on Engraver. This was a sequencing error, which is basically what an error we made this Iron Man. We should have always gone Engraver first, so we have an extra 4, so we can do more. But now we just have like Necro equip that's not doing anything. So we go sword, grab X'd, and then special the X'd by sending Aggregator, and then we make the Detto because we've sided out like both the node and cross because we wanted to put in more cards to beat Malice. So there was no point making duo. So we just attach the Aggregator and attack over Link Decoder. And this is a second error, because if we kept the duo, we could have obviously had cross, but we could have boosted this, left this in the fence and attacked over Druis and then negated Druis, and like we would be in a great position. But now we just have Detto, and we've sided out Paradise obviously, so we don't have Paradise, and then we have Nib Detto to beat their hand of Allure, White Rabbit, Malice, and Underground. And they just force out our Detto by crashing the Druis. So yeah, like we should have just put the Detto in the fence and attacked over Decoder with the Necro equip. But yeah, it is what it is. We just they just go Allure, draw 2, banish Chessie, and then Chessie comes back and effect banishes the cat, draws 2, cat comes back, rabbit comes back, and then rabbit sets the reborn trap, and then they normal draw, and they just go link free into White Rabbit. Like in this position we still can't set up Paradise because we've sided out, so we just go Lacrima, bring back Requiem because they targeted it. So they set MTP, they activate the one that summons from deck, they summon Dormouse, summon White Rabbit, they go for splash here, so we go Requiem, chain Nib. So like this is a spot where their MTP is their traps are turned off because they don't have a Malice. So basically we're just banking that they don't have this. They've used all their banish effects other than Dormouse, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, they just chain impulse on our Nib anyway, which was rough. So we summon Lacrima off Requiem and we just send the Engraver, and then they're just free to do whatever they want. They go Splash, bring back Cat, make Ransom to search a second field spell, and then they go Field, Banish Door, Special Door, Banish Cat, summon Access, gain attack, pop our board, and then trigger their Ransom to bring itself back. He tries to go BP and forgets he's already gone to BP, and then he passes after setting the Imperm. So we have to beat Imperm, GWC, MTP with just Ice Rizel, Fualos, and Engraver, basically. So we start our turn with Fualos, like maybe he allows us to draw a card. We use Engraver. He thinks, he allows it, so we equip Requiem to the Engraver. They activate MTP, grabbing Dormouse, and banishes Engraver. So now we have one play, which is normal Ice, which is met with Imperm. So now our only play is to make Typhon. We activate Typhon, put back Access Code, attack over Red Ransom. They activate GWC, summon White, and then they use White to banish the 3 traps. So now they are both boosted by 3k. So yeah, we cannot beat over either of them. So we just pass turn. They normal door, banish Rabbit, special Rabbit, go battle, and we are dead. We are very, very dead. So yeah, now we move on to the final game, which is our last player against their last player. As you can see, Moon is a very important card, and we have lost a lot of games because we caught Moon. So Moon has very swiftly re-entered our extra deck. So now we move on to the final match, which is Ben against their final player. So we say good luck, and we do RPS, and we win RPS. So we draw a hand. We have Nib, Tract, Meows, and Ice. They activate Shifter. Now we could end on Detto here, but I tell Ben in this position that if they have any hand trap on Ice, we just pass the turn and turn off Meows. And I'd rather just keep Meows alive because it's insane against this deck, and then we have Nib anyway, and then on the follow-up turn Tractor's live, so we have more pushes, so we just pass. So they start their turn, they draw Fua, which is dead, so they go Allure, draw 2, banish Door, which is the perfect banish because I mean this plays very hard into Meows. So they activate the Dormouse, and then we chain the Meows, which goes crazy hard into this deck. So they summon Dormouse, we draw a card, but Veiler's dead. They banish Rabbit, they summon Rabbit, and give us another draw. And then they use Rabbit to set the GWC. And they use Magnamort, banishing Shifter, summon it out, make the link free. But the issue is we've not drawn anything that beats this OTK. So they go for Heart, punch us for 31 because of Dormouse, and they use GWC to bring back from banish. So what we need is to draw Imperm, or we just die. So they banish the Crypt and get White Rabbit. We need to draw Imperm to make this drop down back to 31 to be able to survive. And we draw 2 cards. One of them needs to be Imperm, another sword, and Fua. So yeah, we die. So yeah, you could say that we should have gone for ice, but if they had any hand trap, we just passed and turned off meows. So I don't think it varies. So we start the game. They say draw phase, and they drop Shifter. Cards just glued to the hand. So you go main phase, normal, X'd, search sword. Then we special sword, and then we use sword to grab ice for follow up, and we just make Detto, set 2 imperms, and pass. So we have 2 pops, double imperm, and Ash. They start their turn by saying impulse and passing because they have no plays other than summoning Druis. They have Gold Sock, but Gold Sock doesn't really do anything into Detonator. So I feel like that's why they just passed. So yeah. So we start our turn. Go standby main. Normal ice. And use the effect. So they use Impulse here. And we chain Detto to pop their set Impulse, which was a pretty heads up play to set the other Impulse to turn on the other Impulse so that it pops the ice. So that was a cool play. But like maybe we shouldn't have popped the set anyway, but like I feel like we played, even if we lost the ice, we had enough extension to beat it anyway. So we activate Tract, pitching Lurie. We use Lurie. They use their Bestial here. So like, okay, that's fine. They banish our Lurie, so we summon our Node. And then we use Node to send one of our Imperms to grave to bring back X'd. Then we overlay for Duo. We use Duo to attach. Detach 2. Grab Cross. Grab X'd. Activate Cross. We special X by pitching Twins. We use X to search for Sword. We special Sword. We use Sword to search for Ice. And we overlay for Dweller to beat the Druis Worm. So we use Dweller. Then we use Cross to draw 1. We draw talents, we take the Druis, and then we just attack for lethal. And then we go into the 3rd game. They joke about drawing Shifter 3 games in a row. So we draw 0 non-engine. We have Lurie, Engraver, and 3 Riser cards. But luckily for us, they have drawn no engine. So they have 2 Bestials, Imperm, and 2 talents. Well, Frost and talent. So they just pass. And when we saw a hand, we thought we were cooked. And when they passed turn, we literally celebrated because we have enough gas to play into any hand trap. So we just go, yep, now we've won the game. So we summon Ice, just met with Imperm. We use Engraver. We grab, we grab Tract, and then we use Tract to add Engraver and pitch Lurie. And then we use Lurie to bring itself back. They change Druis. So like, okay, that's fine. We send Exciton. because it's a light fiend, so we can bring back Engraver if we want to, for like extra damage if we need it for lethal. So we special X, and then we use it to search node, and then here we make duo drive, and to use it to search, and we kept the cross this time. We search for ice. So now they're thinking whether to bring down the Baldrake to stop an extra deck play. So here we special node, we use it pitching the Engraver, and then we target ice, baby. So they use the Baldrake on the ice, which is kind of what we wanted. We wanted to force an extra bestial if they had one, so that we can just push into the plays. Like if they have Nib, they're down to one card, and we still have Imperm and follow up. Like they go sword, grabbing X'd, and here we drop the cross. Oh no, we go for battle phase first, because if we go for cross in main phase and go for detonator, then they can go Baldrake, Tribute, Druis, and then if we cross negate that, then they can just Druis send detonator. So we have to get rid of Baldrake here. So we just crash into Baldrake with duo, and then main 2 activate cross, and then we overlay for Deto in defense so that they can't crash with Druis Worm. And then we use the detonator to reattach the Exciton. There's Exciton, right? Yeah. And then we use the field to get 2 draws. Well, to put 2 back and get a draw. If we got 2 draws, that'd be insane. So we draw dead meows. So we set Imperm and pass. They did nothing last turn. They have a Druis on board. We have 3 pops, a cross negate, and an Imperm, and a lot of follow up. So we pass turn. They draw another Druis Worm. So they activate Druis Worm. We allow it. It's like, what does the second Druis Worm even accomplish? If they make a link play, we just negate their Druis Worm. So they view their extra deck, looking at their options. So they go link 2. They make SP, because that's their only play. They go Druis, target our Deto. We go cross, stop the Deto. They make Typhon. They go Typhon bounce. We have Imperm. So you go Typhon attack, we detach 1, and then we pass. And we start our turn, activate Engraver. Then we summon Requiem. Requiem summons Engraver. And yep, we're doing some quick maths. We use Engraver to send the Typhon, because Ben doesn't play the, what's it called, the Agnum Day, so we had to get rid of the Typhon to go for lethal. So we go for the Rizal plays, and we just change everything to attack, and then attack for game. And they revealed the hand, and yeah, so we won 3-2. A lot of the other games were winnable for us if we played Moon, so Moon is definitely going into the extra deck. Well, it already has, because I'm recording this after the Iron Man, obviously. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the Iron Man and want to see me upload more of my Iron Mans that I take part in on my channel, make sure to leave a comment down below, and I'll make sure to do that. Or if you just like more like dual content in general, because most of my videos these days are like just deck profiles, but like that's mainly because of my my current setup. Like, I don't really have a good setup to like record my face cam because I don't have a table right now. But like, because I'm in between places. But yeah. So I don't think I'll be able to set up face cam for a while, but I can do more dual content if you guys would enjoy that. So leave a comment down below if you'd like that. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.